Welcome to Recovery Unfiltered. I'm Larry. You sit on the toilet, don't you? Use that as your meditation.
I'm Rob. Not my wife, not your wife, nor anybody listening to this podcast has eaten a shit sandwich we didn't have a hand in making.
Welcome back to Recovery Unfiltered. It's time to go to work. Rob, who are we not affiliated with?
AA, NA, CA, STDs, PhD, LSD.
STD.
Why are you pointing at me when you said STD?
Oh, did I apologize? And TDS.
We got Brad and Rob back in here. Brad and Doug. Sorry, we got Brad and Doug back in here. Don't worry, Doug. I'll remember your name by the end of the podcast.
Greg, Steve,
Greg,
Jim.
Yeah, we brought these guys back. We actually wanted to jump on another topic. We just got done with the other one, and I hope everybody enjoyed that. It was Brad still over here pouting a little bit.
No, thanks for having me on All About Larry.
Thanks, Brad. At least you recognize it.
Yeah.
That was a good one, Brad. Anyways, we forgot to pray. We forgot to, yeah. It's not like getting podcast etiquette from Brad as I'm trying to fucking put everything together over here. But I appreciate it. I take
anytime.
I take it. As I always say.
Just take what I hear from other people and I relay the message. That's it.
You know what? You're not the first one to tell me that.
Get your fucking volume figured out, my man. Cheap ass shit over here.
You're right. Anyway, so we came back. We didn't say prayer before this one, but that's okay because we said it before.
We already said enough cuss words.
We definitely, trust me. So we came back and Doug had a topic he wanted to bring up. Doug?
Shoot, I'm going to be the star today.
I'm just kidding. It's all about Doug today.
I just want to throw it out there because this...
Doug could go on a rant like Larry always does.
I don't know that I can do that, but anyways...
I love my monologues.
Yeah. You got to, he's got to bring us along a little bit, but, you threw that out there about a topic and any time that I go to one of those places that we're not affiliated with,
right.
They ask me to read something out of there. I pick this one every single time, right? And how it works. I every single time, if you ever notice, I'll pick that because it's my favorite. Because I'm a simple-minded person, and this outlines exactly what needs to be done and how to do it. And for me, the simplicity of it just keeps me centered. Because if I try and go outside of that, then I get a little squirrely. But
it goes back to what we were talking about last time. It's it's my list, right? It's my list, which we brought that up in the last episode. It's my list of how to stay sober and how to work through it. And the key word in that is work, right? The very key word is how it works. And if you don't put that work into this book, I don't give a shit if it's your marriage. I don't care if it's, if you read self-help books, if you read marriage books, if you read any book. I just read a great book, and it was brought up in Saturday morning meeting a couple weekends ago. The guy said it, and it's Who Moved My Cheese. The guy said it.
What the fuck?
Dude, yeah, it's a great book.
Who
right?
moved the cheese?
Who Moved My Cheese. And it's a book about change, right? It talks about changing, right? And it's just people, because we get caught in our own little way and we don't recognize what's going on around us, right? And it's all about, it's four characters.
And the funny thing about alcoholics, the two things that we hate the most are change and the way things are.
Absolutely, right? 1,000%. So, the key word, like I said, in this thing is works. And it doesn't matter what you're doing, anything you're working on.
He's doing a monologue.
Motherfucker.
Yeah.
Fuck you guys. You know what?
Hey, Doug, welcome to Larry's show.
Yeah.
You fucking give me a gap and I'll jump in it.
Yeah. And there is no chapter in our book called Into Thinking, but there is one called Into Action. So, Doug, Tim, why do you read this all the time? Why do you like how it works?
Well, I like it because of the very first sentence that it says in here.
Ooh, what does it say?
The very first part. Rarely. And that was the first thing I underlined in this book. Have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path? Done deal. That's all I need. And what is that path? And it'll go on to describe what we're going to do in this deal and talks a little bit about us, or at least it talks about me in here, right? And so, and those who do not recover are people who will not, cannot or will not completely give themselves this simple program. And so I know that, I'm not sitting 21 plus years sobriety because I was willing to give myself this simple program.
But look at the language you use. I like how you said it. Thoroughly followed, right? Thorough. What does thoroughly mean, right? Completely give themselves. Completely. What does that mean? Wholly, right?
Everything.
All of it.
1,000%.
And if you're going to fail, it's because you didn't do those things. Didn't completely, thoroughly. I mean, Bill uses language to, and throw on that chapter.
Yeah.
We not next week, next month, the next action you should take, he recommends, is we launched out on a course of vigorous action. You know, these words, listen, read them. And that's why we do big book studies. That's a great.
Yeah, because you have to read it, understand it, what's it saying, right? And keep you focused on it. And it tells you that it's going to be difficult.
So you're telling me I just got to do these steps and then I don't have to go to meetings or anything? Everything's good to go after that?
Good luck.
Doesn't say
Try
that.
You need to do the steps in order.
We got a guy that just walked into our Monday night meeting that had 21 years of sobriety.
Rob, yeah.
Yep. He had 21 years of sobriety.
I say that because we get people that are like, oh, you still go to meetings?
Yeah.
For the rest of my life. For the rest of my life.
So,
I said that to my dad.
I don't go to meetings to stay sober.
No.
I go to meetings to give away what was so freely given to me.
I go to meetings to be around you people, right?
Yeah.
I do.
When it shows.
I get what you just said there, Rob, but I do too. I go to be around like-minded individuals to make sure that I'm in the right place. I'm still doing the right thing and to give it away.
Now, keep in mind, I know, because my sobriety comes from God, I know that I need to stay spiritually fit, or I've seen it go away for 21 years. So, but the reason I do, people say, well, because when I sit down with another man, I'm not doing that to stay sober. I'm doing that because he asked for help. And when I asked for help, it was given to me. But the joy that I get now, that's why I do it. And it's just an ancillary benefit. Doing these things also keeps me spiritually fit, which keeps me sober.
It's a good circle.
Yeah, it's a beautiful circle.
Beautiful.
But it's a joy to do it. It's fucking, I mean,
yeah.
If it was drudgery, would I still do it? Yeah, because I want to be sober, but it's not for me. I mean, it's a joy to be here right now with you guys. Yeah. I love this.
I remember when they would say, anybody in here willing to sponsor, right? In that room that we're not affiliated with. Mm-hmm. And I would never did I raise my hand. Every time now, right?
And
because of that, because of what the extra work we did, right, on there. So now it's like, no, man.
Why wouldn't you sponsor before?
I didn't think I was very good at it. You know, I had a couple guys that just they didn't make it, right, and it hurt me. It hurt me, right?
It hits me between the eyes.
And I was like, again, fear too. Am I good enough? Am I all that stuff that I hadn't cleared out, right? Right. And so after, I asked the midget to be my sponsor, right? And we went through that stuff.
You're talking about Eric?
His brother.
Sorry, Eric.
Yeah. And that opened myself up to that. Like, no, dude. Yeah, we have to follow what it says there in step 12, right? We got to give it away to keep this darn thing. But anyway, how it works is my
But once you were open to that, look what God did.
Yeah,
He brought you.
Keeps bringing.
Yeah.
Well, look at like the other day. I'm not like I like talking. I don't like getting up in front of people and talking. You know, Rob keeps trying to get me to do that.
Oh, he's doing it, by the way.
Yeah, you're doing that this Thursday.
This Thursday, Brad is Larry, I expect you to be
a place we don't go to.
Where?
Well, I was in San Diego. They're old school, and you got to stand up and go to the podium.
Oh, dude. Oh, no way.
Yeah, and awesome. Right when I walked in, they hand me how it works, and I'm like,
they didn't recognize you're someone new.
It's good for you, Brad.
This guy needs help right here, and he hands it to me, and then I got to get up to that podium and read the whole front and back, but it was good, you know.
It's cool, huh?
Yeah, I love going to different.
That's awesome.
places.
Speaking of that, this Thursday, Brad is my. I'm doing the place we're not affiliated with. I'm the chairperson for the next month. So I got different speakers coming in. Brad will be the first one.
Brad, you're speaking at a meeting?
Yes, he's going to share his experience strength at home.
Forced.
Grace come along?
No, she'll be in Santa Barbara.
Well, I'm going to be at Disneyland with my wife. A place, once again, going back to what we talked about, a place I don't want to go, but I know a place I don't want to go, but I know this, the walking that main street at nighttime with a cup of coffee with my wife, watching the fireworks is very important to my wife, right? I used to do that shit drunk, right? But at the end of the day, we've been there since I've been sober, but never have I been there with her, wanting to be there with her in the moment as I do with this one. We went to Disney World and we came back. I told Katie, we need to go. I want to go to Disneyland with you, right? I want to go to Disneyland.
You taking kids?
No, we don't have kids.
I don't get that, Brad. I don't understand that. It ain't my business. It ain't my business, Doug. I don't understand why fucking grown adults without kids would go to. I don't. Brad's on the same page with
I'm
me.
going in 3 weeks.
You don't have
Disneyland.
I'm married to a child.
I get it.
I'm
Easy
married.
what you say there,
How
buddy.
it works, Doug? We gonna touch on this?
I don't. Yeah.
Go.
How does it work in Disneyland?
Hey, but can I share something though?
Yeah, you go for it.
About kind of where Larry is at, because this is because we were, this talks about bondage. We're in the bondage of self, bondage. Nathan shared. I had me speak last Friday because Rob threw out a topic, and when he spoke, he had said something that I had mentioned to him that really impacted him, and I didn't realize. He had said that I had said to him. Well, I quoted 552, but in that where I want to be, and the touch on because this Larry, what you just said reminds me of this about going there because this is the first time you're going to be at Disneyland.
Sober.
Not just sober, but sober and wanting to be there. So here we go. The only real freedom a human being can ever know is doing what you ought to do because you want to do.
Yes, sir.
And now, and I had shared that with Nathan. I was like, and the one time, and granted, when we were all up fishing, remember, we took care of it, and there was me and my son. He's 15 feet ahead of me in the river. We're knee deep in the river, bullshitting and fishing. Of course, I want to be there, and I ought to be there. But the only time in my life where that always happens is when I'm sitting across from a man, the book's open, and we're navigating these steps where I'm taking him through the steps. When I'm there. That's my freedom.
It's your passion.
But I'm free.
You are.
I'm totally 100%. That's the freest I've ever can be because I ought to be there helping the man, and I want to more than anything.
Brad, Rob, I'm going to say this, that to watch
obsession again.
God damn it.
No, you're right.
To watch Rob, Brad makes fun of you and gives you a hard time about the Bible thumper. When you said that in the meeting the other day,
the big book thumper.
Big
I was going into the bathroom and I didn't understand what you said at first. And then when I got in there, got a hold of my pecker, I started laughing. It was because of the
I was thinking about you in the bathroom, Rob. Jesus.
I don't ever laugh when I grab a pecker. I'm just saying.
But to watch you dig into that book and to watch you get passionate about it is fucking fun. I mean, when he starts digging into it, he starts going.
Oh, he's good at it.
Yes, he is. He's very.
And that's why he's helped a lot of men.
So he says, "I got the answer," or the book's got the answer. I know where it's at here.
Well, and Doug, you brought up a great chapter.
I'd have to read the whole book to find the answer.
What people call, hey Rob, the book, how it works. There's a chapter called "How It Works." This is how it
It's a simple program.
And then what's the chapter right after that?
What's that? How it works in action.
Into action. This is how it works. This is how you're going to, this is what you have to do.
But I believe, this isn't, God gives us, like I've shared before, God does not need our great abilities. We don't fucking have any. What he desires is your availability. If you make yourself available to him, he will equip you. He will call you and he will send you. And that's why people always say, Rob, I don't want to be sent to Africa. That Christians will talk about that. They don't want to get sent off to a mission. Trust me. Give yourself to him. Where he calls you to be is exactly where you're going to want to be. And that freedom that I feel is you're going to, and then you will understand. Everybody's given a gift, I believe. When you come,
Agreed.
we know that in the church, but I believe in AA as well. You've been given a gift. When Larry goes to the hospitals, institutions, as you exercise that gift that God has given you, and he will give you more, you will find the joy. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of times, Brad, I'm like, fuck, especially when I was foreman. It's 8:00 at night. I'm going to drive it because I always go to their house because it's more usually when someone's brand new, it makes them more comfortable. They're in a comfortable environment. I'll go to you. And number two, an ancillary benefit of that is my family doesn't put them out. But I'm driving like, fuck, I'm tired. I got to be up at 2 a.m. Right. Lord, just give me the strength. He always tells me, no, fuck you. That's what he says. No, you go and do. It'll be there when you need it. Because if I give it to you now, you'll waste it. You'll waste that energy.
Good point.
You'll waste it. So then but then once I leave that place, I go home and I'm on fire. On fire.
Yeah, there's many times I got to go in the jails and they go in at 7:00, right? And it's way later than I want to be out because I'm fucking old, I guess. I don't know. But especially this time of year when it's dark outside, you just don't want to leave the house. You don't want to go. It's cold and foggy. But once you get there and you sit down with those guys and you start working with that group, I leave there on fire. Almost every time.
How could you not?
Oh my God.
Right?
But what is it that does that? I know what it is for me. It's God's spirit because I'm out of myself.
1,000%.
and I'm doing something finally unselfish.
It's unselfishness.
It's out of myself and doing something for someone else, and just for the reason, just because.
Because it says right here, selfish and self-centered.
That's how I feel
on
highlighted Monday nights, coming out of there Monday nights. I'll always come home and I'll go home and I should be going to bed, but I'm like, it's ready to go.
And I always say that's the Monday meetings, which I fucking hate missing those. And I shouldn't miss one for a while. That Monday night meeting is by far, and I said it a minute ago, I go to those meetings for the fellowship more than I do anything else. Right. I spend so much time of a morning in prayer and in my book and reading. And, I started reading Living Sober again. You guys have seen some of the stuff I've been sending, and it's such a simplistic reading of what we do, right? It takes this whole thing of sobriety and how we go and how we look at it and how we reach. And I read it when I first got sober, but this is the second time this is the first time I've read it since right after I got sober. And there's so much in here that's enlightening to me. And I've been sending some of the stuff to you guys. One of the things that I sent out, but I read this morning, says, we have learned it pays to make a very special effort to try to understand other people, especially anyone who rubs us the wrong way. For our recovery, it is more important to understand than to be understood. When I read that this morning, I was
that's part of the prayer of St. Francis. Help me, Lord, to understand. But why? Because here's what my sponsor, I'd call Jay, this some bitch would piss me off, and he would point out, well, if you recognize it, Rob, or he'd tell me, son, hey, son, well, if you recognize it, guess what? Fuck, I own it. You're right.
Right.
The reason I can recognize that bad piece of crap or that bad character trait in that guy is because I possess it, and that's what bugs me about it. I don't care for that guy. I'm watching Dishonesty or whatever that's bugging me
because I have it.
Because I have it, and that's what's bugging me. It ain't nothing to do with him. It's work that needs to be done in old Rob.
Yeah. So to Larry's point, you talk about going to the Monday group, right? I was just explaining to another guy that might show up, right? How it started, the reason behind it, where it's at now. It's like just incredible. That's why I go there, because of this chapter right here, how it works. That group of guys that are coming in there at the different levels, a lot of them less than 2 years, right? That are on fire. That are on fire, right? Yeah. That are just going through it, right? And you just watch it happen, man.
And you're watching God. I was telling me, God, we're talking about that on the way here.
Fudge, yeah.
Okay, I go, just imagine, Brad just looking at it from
Doug
Aaron's house to Brad's house to where we are. And God has done all of that.
Ain't
he
us.
Is working. He uses us. Brad's brought a lot of men. They've seen,
a bunch.
Yeah. He is like Andrew.
We have a gift, right?
Peter's.
They're attracted to that.
Peter's brother.
Same thing that happened to you. People get attracted to that, right? Yeah. And they start asking questions, and they go, "Hey," and then people start herding others that direction, right?
I remember drinking beer in the driveway, and then look at it now. There was only 4 of us then, and now,
yeah.
I started to go through something the other day. This thought started to run through my head, and after Monday night, I was like, "Man, this group's gotten too big." Now, before you run your fucking mouth over there, Mister. I saw your fucking brain working.
Were you going to use that word control?
No, I was in my brain. I was like, this meeting's gotten so big.
That's not what you said. You said too big.
It was too big. This is last Monday night thought.
As I was going, right? Because I've been gone.
You've been gone for a while, and you want to come back and switch it up.
I was just going to this. I wasn't switching nothing up, prick. I'd been gone for 3 weeks, and I'd heard you guys kept saying how great the meetings are, and kept growing and growing and growing.
Unbelievable.
And in my mind, I'm thinking, God, this meeting's gotten too fucking big. There's really nothing. There's
no time for me to talk.
God damn it.
Oh, that's
hey, that fucker's told the truth right there.
It ain't far from it.
He didn't want to talk for shit last
Can I
Monday.
finish my fucking point, and then you guys can talk shit about me? Let me at least finish my fucking point.
That's right. I'm supposed to be practicing this, so this
Go ahead,
is good
my
practice.
My point was,
what's the point, baby?
On my way, I was running those thoughts to my head, and then I go back to this. This is all about God. This ain't about fucking you, Larry. This is about God and everything that's going on in sobriety. And what that meeting has done, the new people that have been there, the sobriety that is in that room because of that room, it's not about fucking me. It's not. That's why, and yes, you guys are going to give me shit about this. Rob never called on me till the end.
Till the end.
And I was kind of I was waiting.
Patience.
I was going to fucking bust his ass afterwards, but I knew this for a fact. All those guys in that room needed to be in that room and to speak. I knew that I could call Rob. I knew that I could call any of you guys and talk about the reading that we had. I wasn't fucking worried about it because it wasn't, no, this is going to be hard for you to understand, Brad. I knew that it wasn't about me and what I needed to be.
Which is the greatest gift Alcoholics
Anonymous, and
we're not affiliated with.
And I've just started to have that feeling in these meetings recently. The more I go, the more I realize it's not about me. If I get a chance to share, I get a chance to share. It isn't about me. It's about being in the rooms. It's about being around like-minded people. And that's what it is. It's not about me.
You like seeing that light switch for people.
I fucking love it.
And right now we got enough guys in there that they're going to start flicking that switch here pretty.
Yes, sir.
If they could do how it works.
Yep.
It's going to be amazing for them,
and
you know, because we were on the other end, Larry.
Yes. You guys got to watch.
I remember when we started reading, and Larry wouldn't shut up. He'd read the whole fucking chapter. I'm like, is this son of a bitch going to stop? I want to read today too.
Because
doesn't he know everybody else just read one page and he just keeps going?
I used to hate reading when I came in here, and then I got to the point where I liked reading, and then your ass showed up. Let me just read fucking 15 pages for you. No, it's my turn.
No one reads like I do, goddamn it.
I don't want to hear you fumble words. You can't read, you son of a bitch. I'll read it.
And you know that's what he was thinking too.
Where is it in How It Works? Is when it says we cease fighting?
No, that's
it's
that's at 86, 87 page.
I was trying to find that, but it's probably
go to page 86.
No, it's not. We're going to stay in here and How It Works. We're going to stay there, but that's one of the
the great thing about How It Works is it takes you to the whole it's just a prelude to everything.
It
goes that's Monday night is How It Works is what I mean. I think that whole group of people is how it works,
right? And it is right. It's that path, and when I mean by we cease fighting, that's what I had to do.
How it works is when Rob's fucking poking at people in there. He keeps making suggestions and it's good stuff.
And it's being and God. I'm going to say this for Brad or for Rob because I know this. It's not Rob doing it. It is God working through that. The reason I
do that is because people will just be quiet. So I just keep the meeting.
Well, and that's what I like about that meeting. It's not on that AA that we're not affiliated with. It's not on that AA forum, and there's crosstalk going on. We respect each other enough.
We're pretty respectful.
It's not like we got 20 some people, talking back and forth. But it's real respectful, and Rob's got a great way of picking on the people that he knows need to talk, that are in there. I didn't need to fucking
but if you notice, if you go to other meetings, you'll see they'll call on people like that. If it's a real good person and they'll see someone and they'll fucking call them. Especially if you're new to the area, they're going to call on you. They want to hear you. They don't know nothing about you. Today might be 24 hours for you or whatever it is, But
it's going to be something fresh.
But that's when you're new, the last thing you want to do is talk. But once you start talking and it starts getting comfortable, and then it's what you need to do.
I enjoy the listening aspect now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because especially like if you're going to be the last person, I have to turn and face them and make sure I'm paying attention so that I actually hear what they're saying. Because
thank you for that.
99% of the time, it's that last person says exactly what I needed to hear.
I'm going to ask everybody. We'll go around. I'm going to ask a question because this is something that I do, and I've struggled early sobriety. There's people I would just tune the fuck out because God, this motherfucker. But then I don't. But as I go, let me ask you guys this: there are certain. I try to listen now to everybody, but there are certain men. There's two women, but there are certain men when they speak. One is Jeanette. Mary. And Marianne. When those women share, I hear them. They're Scott, Brad, Pat, you guys. There are certain men. I try to listen to everybody, but there are certain men when they speak, man, I can hear them. Does that make sense to you guys? I can hear not just what the words are saying. I can hear their intent.
Right.
Like when Scott talks about putting one foot in front of the other, and he shares he has those certain I've had a good run in Alcoholics Anonymous, but the underneath message is God has never given him more strength to walk around, to walk over, or to walk away. He's always given him strength to walk through one foot. That's what he's really saying. Right. But he does, I can just hear them. Does that make sense to you guys?
No, 1,000%. I love having
and
those
who does that, Brad? Like who can you hear when they share? Man, I fucking hear that guy, and I really and I don't make sure I don't miss. You're one of those for me. I like
you, Doug. I love when Doug talks. Larry. Just depends if he shows up.
But when Mary,
if you give him time to talk,
when Mary shares and when Mary Ann shares, those two women, I mean,
they're similar.
There's a lot of women that share, but when they speak,
they're similar in how they speak.
I can hear them, man.
There's a few people that I don't.
No, me too. But I try to listen to them.
90% of the people, I listen to everybody.
I try to listen to everybody, but there's some men that I can really hear.
There's people that your ears get turned right around to when they start.
They're the ones that say the same fucking thing every time they get called on, though, too, right? I mean, but every once in a while, you'll get a piece of gold out of them. Normally, when I'm in a meeting, I'll write down, like if somebody says something that's real meaningful, I'll write it down in my margins of my thing, and I'll write their name beside it, right? I mean, I've got names in here of people that I've only seen them and only knew their name by how they introduce themselves, right? I mean, I got Erica in here who's, she's in and out all the time, but she, if you've ever heard my story, you know that woman changed my life, right? Erica. And she changed my life, and she heard one word, just one sentence she said, right? I heard myself laugh for the first time, literally turned my life around.
And that's the point, to be listening to everybody.
Right. And that's what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of people that blah, 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 blah. That's what you're hearing. But then God's going to open your ears for that thing that he wants you to hear, right? I mean,
that's where I learned the lesson, because I was in primary purpose, maybe 1-2 years sober. Probably, I think I was over 2. So, I mean, I had this shit figured out, right? I was 2.5 years sober. I had this shit figured out.
You're right where Larry's at.
Perfect.
Yeah, well, fuck, what's this guy going to tell me about step 1? Shut the fuck. Anyway, there's one guy, and he's still in the rooms. And I was like, okay, here goes 5 minutes. I'll never fucking get back. Click. Let's start looking at boobies. Whatever, And I wasn't struggling with something, but I wasn't about to say struggling, but I was battling with, I was trying to work on something. And I was talking to God about it. And right at the end of this guy's share, he said something, and I just happened to catch it. But I didn't catch all of it. Like, fuck. And I knew, because like Brad, I recognized, okay, God, I see what you're trying to teach me. I tune this guy out because I know. Now, am I going to go ask this man after the meeting? Hey, man, I love, or am I just is my pride going to go and just wait until, suffer with this a little more until I have figured out, what I'm struggling with? I didn't. Hey, Dave, I'm not saying his name wasn't Dave, by the way.
His name's Dave.
And that was his fucking name.
It's not his name. It's not his name. And I said, hey, man, you shared something out, and I just missed the end of it. And I only caught the end of it. I didn't tell him why, because I tune you the fuck out all the time because you blabber on. They say 3 to 5 minutes. You don't got to take all 5 fucking minutes. Anyway, I said, man, but he was so taken aback. He goes, really, Rob? I love it when you share. And he started giving me like compliments, like, shut up, just tell me, don't pour the coals on my head now, because he was, he's making me feel even worse about myself. And then he told me what he said, and I got it, which taught me, you selfish, you arrogant little prick, listen to everybody. And I do. I don't hear everybody, but I listen to everybody. And
that's a true fact.
But he had said something. He goes, Rob, I love when you share. He goes, because you say what you mean, and you mean what you say, and I always appreciate. So this guy listens to everything I say, and I don't give a shit what he says. What a dick, And I was just about that. I'm small anyway, short, and I felt about that small. Right. And I just was humbled. So I try to really give people the respect and listen to, even though Kevin's going to say the same thing over.
There was a guy at Primary Purpose that was extremely hard to hear.
I love that.
He had gold to come out, and he's
sick right now.
Yeah,
too.
He's really sick, but.
Is the same guy I'm thinking about?
Yeah, it's Harry.
Yeah, that's the guy I listen to when I go to Primary Purpose.
I try my damnedest.
I try to sit by. I start sitting closer to him.
I can't look at him because I got one ear pointed towards him.
That's funny that you bring that up, because that's who I was going to say.
He's got some gold.
I couldn't remember.
He's got some gold coming out of his mouth, but man, he's hard to hear because he mumbles a lot because he's old, right?
And
he's old school.
And the air conditioner kicks on and off, and I ring in this one, and so I have to get to the left ear.
Right.
But
that could cause a resentment to go drink because I can't hear what he says.
I shouldn't. Hey, let me ask you this, talking about working with others. This is on page 15, Doug.
Okay.
How the fuck did we get out of how it works?
This is how it works. Listen here.
How it works goes front and back, baby.
This is Bill's story, page 14, 15.
The whole book.
4, if an alcoholic failed to perfect and enlarge his spiritual life through work and self-sacrifice for others, he could not survive the certain trials and low spots ahead. If he did not work, he would surely drink again. And if he drank, he would surely die. Then faith would be dead indeed. With us, it is just like that. So we have to enlarge our spiritual life. How? Through action. That's why I'm not saying that, you talk about your prayer, hitting your knees and praying. You will not, if that's all you do, read your Bible and sit here and hit on your knees and pray to God, you ain't going to grow spiritually, people. I'm telling you, I challenge anybody to argue that through, but see, and it doesn't talk about, and this is how people fall off. Like there's a young man that I've sponsored, is a soldier who, he's doing great right now, but he's not going to meetings. Life is great, but he is failing to perfect and enlarge his spiritual life. Eventually, we will drink.
Mm-hmm.
Just like on that side, Rob, you've got to go practice that out.
Yeah.
It's not sitting right here just doing this. You have to go live that.
And at first you will do this action.
Yeah, you have to.
Not because, man, I don't want to drink. But as you do it, and as you realize the growth, as you realize that, you will change. Like Brad, the way he's frustrated right now in his life with that part of the relationship, it's going to grow. And he's going to change. Eventually, that's going to be the strongest attribute of him.
And it's growing because he's doing the action, and that's how
it works.
Yes.
Get into action.
And it's just like I said, you can read any instruction book, any self-help, anything you want. You can read it, listen, watch it, but until you do it,
application, baby,
you ain't gonna change. You're not gonna change. If you don't put in the action to anything you do in your life, you're fucked. You're fucked. And hey,
well, you're stuck right.
AA didn't work for me. Really? Why didn't it work?
Did you read what Doug just read? Rarely have we seen a person fail.
Rarely.
Did you absolutely?
Right. Did
you thoroughly follow our path?
Did you thoroughly?
Well, I missed that page.
Surrender?
No, I went to meetings. Well, that ain't going to keep you fucking sober, retard.
It ain't the meetings we make.
I was thinking about that on the way out here because that gets some passionate people, right? People do the program differently. Right. Different aspects of it. I'm on the side of you go what it says right here. That's what I'm on the side of. But there are people who don't go to meetings. That say, I don't know. I'm not going to judge them. I'm not going to do anything. I just say what works for me.
Well, there's levels of sobriety. There's levels of sobriety you can have if you're comfortable with that. There's people.
You'll never know if you don't do it all the way.
Hold on. Say that.
There's levels of sobriety.
What do you mean by that? Levels of sobriety.
There are people who don't sponsor. I know 2 of them. I mean, more than that, but they just want to be sober, right? And they wanted that. They don't want to sponsor people. They come to just enough meetings to keep the wolf at bay.
So they're sober. They don't have sobriety.
No, they have sobriety. They do just enough to keep the wolf. They come out. They did the steps, but they're not coming to every meeting. They don't want what I have.
I think you missed my point.
They don't.
Do they have serenity? Do they have peace in their lives?
They don't have.
Seriously.
The obsession to drink is gone, and they're okay. They're good with that. They don't want to give it away. They don't because they want time to do their own thing.
Okay.
So they're not. Do they have this when they speak? You hear them. They're not.
Right.
They don't have the depth. They don't have the weight. But they're okay with that. They're sober. They're sober today, and they don't want to drink today. They're not going to go. No one's going to ask them to be their sponsor because they don't have that depth of. But that's all the sobriety they want. That's all the recovery they want. They don't want to be like Rob and donate. They go to a couple of meetings. They go to the Thursday night meeting. They go to the Tuesday night meeting, and that's it.
That's it.
And that's all they want. And there's levels, and that's all you want. Good, that's available to you here. But the rabbit hole goes as far as you want to work. God is as deep as you want to dig into Him.
Well,
what do you want?
But I think, like he's saying, those people they're just sober.
Yeah,
I mean, they're happy, but they're sober. They're not.
They don't understand.
And maybe they weren't struggling as bad. And
right.
We have to stay in this to continue to do what we're doing so we stay sober. I mean, we could go stop all this shit,
do just enough,
and be sober.
Yeah,
right.
But that just enough is working for them. To your point, you said
for them, but for us,
but that's
for
fine
you
for
and I, Larry, it ain't gonna work.
No, no. For me to have
we'll end up finding a drink.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, Brad, 1,000%. Because what's going to happen is that anxiety. If I don't have the fellowship and I'm not inside of this, that keeps that serenity, right, to live with calamity. In order for me to live in the calamity world that I live in, I have to be inside this in the serene life that I'm living, right, in order to deal with things outside of my AA, right. Our sobriety it takes on a whole different lifestyle, a whole different, by itself. My sobriety lives in this bucket, and I have to stay in that bucket with it, right? Life is in other ways. I have to, for my peace, my depression, when I know that that's coming back and I can feel it and I can feel that serenity coming back, a drink ain't very fucking far away. Right. Mm-hmm. Because when I get out of doing the things I know that to do to keep that serenity and keep that peace inside of me, and I get away from that, and the easier and easier it is for me to move away from that, you know, that the closer to that drink I get, and I don't want anything to fucking do with that because I know where that shit's going to go. You
guys all know there's you see them. There's been in the rooms have been sober a lot of years, and they just that's just what they don't. Well, yeah, but they do. I don't want to say they do just enough, but they're not looking for what we are. They don't want the depth of spiritual growth that we do. They're happy, they're content, and that's fine. There are those that. And there's some people that want just that. That's fine.
But I can get serenity.
I'm not good with that. I don't have to go to 5 meetings a week, which I don't. I don't have to do all these things. Right. I choose to because there's a depth of sobriety. Right. Not sobriety. Let me take that back. There's a depth of relationship with God that I want.
Right.
And that I get fed. The more I dig, the more full I get.
I know I have to go because I could slip at any moment. This shit ain't guaranteed for me. I didn't buy this. This wasn't handed to me and here you go. And it
is a gift.
Well, it's a gift.
I know at any given point in time I could slip, trip, fall. It doesn't matter. So I keep going and I keep learning. And
I could hand this gift back at any moment if I ain't careful. Right.
Well, I'm saying about going to meetings and stuff.
I've been fortunate enough, and I say this only for myself, to where this podcast is a meeting for me. Right. This is a huge meeting for me. It's a tool. It's where I go.
Well, and then you'll hear people say this, right, in rooms. Every time I go to a meeting or every time I do a podcast or every time I'm just putting more distance between me and the next drink.
For sure.
I don't see it that way.
Right.
And that's not my motive. That's all I'm saying.
I don't do it for that. I do it
because they're scared.
I don't think about the drink.
They're scared of that next drink.
I don't think about it.
No, I don't either. There's nothing there, but I know that these meetings and doing this thing keep my peace and my serenity inside of me. But I also
think we all do it for that.
I do. Really. I'm just saying.
But how many meetings you been to where you spoke and didn't talk about fucking alcohol?
Quite a few. Yeah.
Because it ain't about that.
No, it's not about alcohol. Honestly, it's
about the life.
It's about the life. And guess what? Because of my relationship with my wife and because of where it's at, I'm just as happy to sit in our living room downstairs and have a communication talk with her than I am going to a meeting, right? Because I have very open, clear conversations with her.
I go back to what Rob was talking about, right? If my spiritual fitness isn't there, I'm done for. Yeah. That's my number one deal. Yep. Everything else follows after that.
Yep.
If I'm messed up, it's that because I'm not doing something to feed that spiritual part of my life.
5 years down the road, if I'm not spiritually fit right now and I'm angry or biting, 5 years down the road, I might have a drink. I'm setting myself up for it now. There's guys that stage drives like the one you're talking about that came in with 21 years. Yeah. I listened to him drive for 2 years, the way he was sharing at meetings. And I told him, I say, hey, Rob, you used to be my grand sponsor, bud. You're not sounding good.
He was Kurt's sponsor?
Yeah. Boom.
Somewhere in here.
I hope somebody, and he didn't listen, obviously. But let me ask you this, Doug. There's the contradiction in the big book. It is. Well, no, okay, it's not, but we do not like to pronounce an individual as, this is page 30.
Oh, yeah.
We do not like to pronounce an individual as alcoholic, but you can quickly diagnose yourself. Step up to the nearest bar room and try some controlled drinking. Try it more than once. Try to stop abruptly. It may be worth a good case of jitters to get a full knowledge of your condition. Now, go to page 92. Say, we don't pronounce anyone alcoholic. No, he says we don't like to. Then you go to page 92 and working with others, Bill says, if you are satisfied that he's a real alcoholic, begin to dwell on the hope of, wait, do we not pronounce?
I've brought that up before.
Yeah. That's why.
Somewhere in here.
But we do, do have to, we qualify the people you work with. Because not everybody in the rooms are alcoholic of our time.
I know, and I ask them.
Yeah.
It's more about, well, why are you seeking help? What?
Yeah.
No, people don't come over and go, I think I'm going to go to AA. Or I'm going to go do this. Like, okay, so why are we here? What's going on in your life? Okay.
I'm not sure about this.
I need you to tell me.
Right. I got a lot of people that come up to me, and I can tell within a couple minutes if they're serious or not, or they're just curious. So most of the time they're just curious. They ain't serious.
Yeah. Somewhere in here, you brought it up. You said something.
Let me ask you this, Brad. When people come up and they're curious, I've never met.
I never asked anybody.
I never met when I say normal people, people who are normal around alcohol and drink normally. ever have those questions? Wow, Brad, how do you do that? Why are you doing that?
That's a good point, Rob.
I've never met a person who's normal with alcohol. They never wonder if they have a drinking problem. They never wonder. So when they come up,
I never asked anybody when I was drinking. I tell you that.
They're potential.
Exactly. That's the point.
Knew I had a problem,
and I didn't hang around. So
I never asked anybody
my
about
brother,
hey,
but he's been doing it. Yeah. That's just his lifestyle, you know.
Somewhere in here,
but you've been able to you just your walk. You brought more people to our Monday night have come in that way than I have. You know, just in that time. You know, they've come to the rooms, but just from his.
Yeah.
I mean,
like
just from your example,
Brad can get sober. Fucking anybody can get sober.
Yeah.
But he didn't change anything. Brad, I mean, the only thing he changed was himself. He didn't change everything but his name, but he still.
I got a couple people I wish I could just lasso around the
Those
throat.
would be the last ones that come. I look at my best friend.
They ain't done yet.
Drag them in, but I know I can't.
Look at my old. We've got a bolt still in his head, and he'll
love
never come.
to, and that's just me loving them.
Yeah.
So that once again, unless Rob interrupts me again, motherfucker.
So
our vertical relationship must be solid for our horizontal relationships to be solid.
Absolutely. You got that from me. That
was from Michael.
Crazy.
That's from Michael. I don't fucking know.
Where'd you get it from, Michael?
I don't know, but I read something in Living Sober this morning, and I was like, "Oh, that's where fucking Rob got that from."
There's nothing original that you're gonna hear.
The only thing
we steal it from everybody.
There's a couple things that I had. Which one is? It'll come to me we repackage it. You know, so and some people repackage it better than others. He just broke it. The way that guy just broke that down.
Hey, in San Diego, I heard of it. Is it God or is that God or is that odd or is it God?
Yeah, baby. I love that saying.
And the first person I heard say that was Jay. You know, because I'd call him up, "Hey, Jay, guess what just happened?" "Well, Rob, or son, is that odd or is that God?" And it's always God.
It's always God.
God damn it. Where's that thing I said? Oh, it's right here. Anyone who wants it is welcome to a free trial period of the new concept of self. Afterward, anyone who wants the old days again is perfectly free to start them all over. It is your right to take back your misery if you want it.
Oh, I love it when Rob says, "We'll 100% refund your misery." I love looking at their faces when those people first hear that. I'm like, "The fuck did he just say?"
Well,
get out there, get after it.
I used to be of the softer version in the beginning, right? And now I'm like, oh, the hell with that. I'm a firm believer of the look. If you're ready, let's get it.
Right.
If not, alcohol will refund your misery. Go find it.
But it's funny how many people I listened to another podcast. It's called Unfiltered Recovery or something. It's a lot like ours, but they talk about it and they do it the easier, softer way, right? The one guy's been sober for 15 years and he talks about how he had to go through his steps in, very slow process. And he talks about it. The girl that's on his podcast.
He didn't have to. That's the way he went. And it happens to be successful. Hey, again, he didn't have to.
No.
That's the way he went through it.
That's the way
I'm still sober. So the ends doesn't always justify the means. Big book thumper.
His sponsor.
Yeah,
obviously.
My point,
that's how they do it.
My point was when he said that he tried to get forced to go through the steps, he went running away from it. When he got back into it, another sponsor. What I mean by he had to do it, it was his personality that he had to do it in a slower, softer way, right? And he's got many years of sobriety. I don't remember exactly, but that's the way he needed to go through it. He couldn't be beat over the head like I needed to be beat over the head. I couldn't have done it that soft way.
Okay, but it's I'd have been drunk before this. Rob's kind of stern on people, but when he came to me, it wasn't like, "Hey, son, you need to come now. Let's go." Fucking
right.
It was, "Oh, you're struggling? Oh, you should come check this out." Right. He went the soft approach. And then once you
that's the front part.
That's the
when you decide you're going to do this right here. Right. How it works.
Yeah.
There's a different theory behind it.
I get that, but what I'm saying is he is nice. But then it's like, okay, well, if you want it, then this is what's going to happen.
This is how it's going to roll.
Do you want to give him the 4 rules or what?
And if you don't want it, then I think he is pretty nice.
For sure.
And here's the issue with that. Because it's not Rob's way.
I never said it was.
No, I know.
And I know what the book says. We've talked about it.
Hey, I did a step a month and I've been sober 15 years. That's great. But I know people, but here's next. We launched out on a course of vigor. If you just listen to the words, what Bill's trying to tell you is there's a danger in that. Yeah, it works for you. That the ends doesn't justify the rule.
No, and I don't disagree with you. If I'd have done it the way the guy on the podcast did it, I'd have been fucking drunk within a couple.
I did it that way the first time.
That's what I'm doing.
But you stayed sober.
I did.
Yeah.
And I did that way in the store.
But you don't.
But there's a level of sobriety.
How free do you want to be?
Correct.
How free do you want to be?
Yeah.
Correct.
So that's why I have a good.
And the reason Bill says, rarely have we seen a person fail, what Doug just read, rarely have we seen who has thoroughly followed our path. The path that they followed was next.
Right.
We launched out. On page 75, when it talks about after you do your fifth step, next. Right after. So the next action you were supposed to take, Bill tells you, is that 1 hour.
Is it next week, next month, or next year?
He says next. The next action you take is this. So yeah,
before you take a shit, before you take a pee.
You can take 3 weeks, but he says next. When you got home, oh shit. So you did your fifth step with your sponsor. When you got home, this is the next. He's suggesting that. Now, if you take a week or a month and then go to your sixth and seventh and you stay sober, does that mean that what he's trying to tell you is the reason people rarely fail to follow this path, this is the path.
Right.
That's why I do it the way, because that's the way these guys did it.
And I don't
the trust is
that.
in the steps.
Right.
The trust is in the book and God.
I don't
not
disagree
Rob.
with that. I know it's not. I know it's not you. I know it's the way the book says it, and it's the way.
That's why I'm a big book thumper, Brad. Because if I was a Rob thumper, there's no weight, there's no strength, there's no power in Rob. The power is in the But
it's also the reason why I ran away from Jay. God love him. Why I couldn't. Have Jay do me through the steps because I needed this shit.
Yeah, you want to consume it. Like, let's go.
And God knows that guy you were talking about, and God knows you guys.
Right.
And he knows, he says, he brings me men who are ready to go this way. It's not for everybody.
I had to have it that way. I would have never made it
but
through
I
the
have,
steps
but I,
without
but I'm
pulling my hair out.
But unlike that guy or anybody else who goes, well, I did mine and that's fine. I have a leg to stand on because the book doesn't allow for that. If you just go by the language, it tells you to.
Yeah.
That's what the book says.
And I might not have stayed sober had I not did it that way. And at the time that I was at, what was going on in my life with the person that was taking me through it, where I was sitting right then and there.
But
you went through it the way you needed to go through it.
I think.
He stayed sober, but look what happened.
Way more quality of sobriety. A depth became greater.
The difference in you
there are
is
levels
night
of sobriety.
and day
I say sobriety. There are levels of, I don't say sobriety because there are levels to this. What level do you want to be at? As much as what you put in
is what you're going to get at.
How free do you want to be always comes back to me because that's exactly the more was to be revealed.
Right.
More freedom, more just.
And I said it a minute ago, Doug, the difference between you before you did the steps and the difference of you after you did the steps is night and day difference.
The second time?
Your whole outlook on this is different.
No,
he's on fire.
Yeah, so
there's no doubt
to watch. Yeah. Before you did the steps the second time you were in and out, I thought you were sometimes at the meeting, sometimes you weren't. Sometimes at the meeting you were in and out.
And there again.
And now he's taking applications.
I take.
He's raising.
I did years without meeting.
Right.
I did all the things you probably shouldn't do.
And look what it took for Brad to get his steps done.
We're not done yet, but we're there.
You know what I mean?
He's on the slow but thorough format.
It's a 4-year plan.
But there's a guy behind him. I need a sponsor, and I text him. You better grab that motherfucker. And he's looking at me like, "No,
what?
Yeah,
that's your job.
Because
I bring him to you.
Because I'm
the herder.
But
that's right.
Well, he is. He brings them to brings them to water. But then again, there was a man sitting across me, Brandon, because that was Doug's birthday, who was getting. I could tell by the look on his face, he was wanting what we had, and he was going to ask me at the end of the meeting. I know because the conversation I had before, at the beginning. So I don't need two. And Brad, it spurred the young man to.
How's he doing, Brad?
He's doing awesome.
He looks good.
Yeah, he's doing great.
Good.
He's
I wish my sponsor was doing better.
But again, we don't get him.
I just laugh at Rob because Rob knows what he's doing. He could have 50 things going on, but he knows how to.
Intentional, baby.
It's always fun.
Intentional.
Guys,
love it.
How it works. Love it.
Rarely have we seen a person fail. Now, when Bill initially wrote that to the first 100, there was 99 men and one woman. It was never have we seen a person fail. And now they said, you can't say that. You can't use an absolute. So he put rarely. And then he ended up putting never later on. He adds these things later on. He gets out what he wants to say, but rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot
or will not completely
give themselves to this simple, completely.
And I like how they say simple program. They use all that stuff like
simple,
right?
Just like very almost antagonizing you in the beginning, but it's simple.
It's not, but it's not easy.
It's like
It's not easy.
It's simple, but
it's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
What is the price? On page 62, it tells you it's a destruction of self.
Right.
The only thing I regret is not doing it quick. When all that shit was fresh. All that shit was on my mind.
No. What's the word that you need to have? What can't we give anybody?
Desire.
Willingness.
Desire. I said desire, but
you can say that too, right?
The best, I think it's better the way Rob does it by the instructions.
Yeah.
And because there was a lot of things that just went that I got over by myself, or whatever. It's just if you do it right there when you're in your misery your shit, I think it's going to look a lot worse on paper for you to actually see it.
And what comes from that is healing starts to come right now. That's why, we have the book says, what could take place in months or weeks, take other people years, and wow, they see a change in that because God is that powerful, right? And you're doing the work right then. That's what the awesome the thing is, because healing comes from it. You take yourself out of the problem.
The healing.
Start doing this work.
It's healing.
Man, getting it on paper, you're getting
everybody's
it
on fire, and you see the look in their face, and everything's just, oh my God.
Acid does more damage to the vessel that it's stored than on whom that it's poured. So when you're getting it out, you're taking that poison out of you, you're doing the step work on it, you're getting the solution. That's why Bill says
clear this brain out, man. That's what it is. It's right there.
But when you see those guys that walk in and you can tell they're just fucking defeated.
Oh yeah.
Broken.
Let's go.
I mean, I was that guy, but I still had work. I had motives. I still had to function. It was still, you need to suck it up.
Yeah.
Wife's gone. You need to suck it up. You still got to fucking work.
That's facts. Yeah.
But you see some of these guys come in there and they're just broken and they're fucking miserable. And you could tell they don't want to do shit. I honestly believe those are the guys that need to start working right that second.
Right now, they do. Because you got,
I don't disagree with that.
And what I tell them, Brad, is, hey, listen, you just got fired. Your wife is out of the house.
Just got out of jail.
You've got time.
You got time.
You've got, and I'll do it. You do this. If you get done today with this 4-step, I'll sit down with you in an hour to do 5. I'll make time for that. And I've done it. The fastest I've ever taken someone through the steps, 5 days.
But that's how these guys are going to start bouncing out of that hole and start seeing some light.
They start seeing some hope. They start feeling better. Like,
not drag it out a fucking month, 2 months. I don't know who I want to sponsor me yet. You should be able to know that real quick.
And that's why the odds. I mean, there's someone gave the odds yesterday, but Paul said there's only 10% who come in and get sober. It's less than that. It's less than 5. It's less than 3 actually. But whatever. And the reason that is, Brad, is because, and that's why I take him through. Here. This is the forward to the second edition. This is the highlight. This is where I start taking people. This is 1955, by the way, 1955. AA grew by leaps and bounds. For this, there were 2 principal reasons. The large number of recoveries and reunited homes. Listen to that, homes, reunited homes. These made their impression everywhere. Of alcoholics who came to AA and really tried, 50% got sober and remained that way. So 50% came into the rooms, never had a relapse, got sober, did the steps, boom, boom. 50% 50 out of every 100, 5 out of every 10. Now listen, we're not done. It remained that way. 25 sobered up after some relapses. So
it was 75% at
some
point in time.
Right.
Back then in 1955, which is 15 years out. Why? Because they did not, they rarely, thoroughly, they didn't fuck around. I mean, again, they say treatment centers added to this because you go to treatment centers and they dual diet. They have all this other, they water down the bullshit, which I do believe.
Oh,
I'm glad I went to one. I mean, I
went to one and got sober.
I didn't go, but when you hear these guys saying the first thing they told me to do when I got out of there is go to the meeting. I think that's the best thing they could do.
Chris told me get a
sponsor.
He said go to meeting, get a sponsor. And
those guys that show up to a meeting and they just left a rehab and they came straight to a meeting, I'm like, you do want this, like.
Right. I got out of rehab and I was in a meeting 4 hours later.
I did. I got a sponsor that night too.
So
I got Jay.
Yeah.
How many people are out of rehab and they catching a bus ride or something and they're grabbing a bottle on the way home?
Most of them. Yep. Most of them.
Yep.
They just went there for a break.
Mm-hmm. To get the heat off. Get the heat off of them.
Well, I owe so much to this book. That's why I love going to meetings. I love talking to people, because if it wasn't for you guys around me or the book, I wouldn't be going home to my wife here pretty soon, you know.
That's a true fact. You wouldn't be having the problems that you were talking about.
Luxury problems.
Yeah.
Be arguing with yourself in the corner, curled up in a ball.
Yeah, but we don't minimize those either.
Hugging yourself.
That's great things to work on.
Right. Yeah.
Those luxury problems are great avenues to work and grow.
Right.
I think about those things like, 20 years ago.
Oh, buddy.
What a pussy I would have been to even think like that.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, 15 years ago, but 20 years ago for sure. 25 years ago, what a pussy I'd be to even talk about that.
Let me tell you something. 13 years or 14 years ago, I was a fucking pussy.
Huh? And I was. Yes.
I didn't think I was. Yeah. I mean, I'd have fought you over that, and I've been,
Yep.
True fact.
What does tough really mean? I mean, I was a pussy. Coward.
It takes a lot of man to sit across from a woman, and let them tell you your faults. That takes a fucking man, and not fire back. Right? And understand and own your fucking faults.
Oh yeah.
That takes a man.
And sit across from a man. Here's what I've been carrying in my closet.
Right.
Look at this.
Right.
And as a grown man crying with snot, and then have that other man say,
you guys got to do it like, I'm going to talk a little bit.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
That fucking pea shooter.
That's nice. That's a nice gun. That's good stuff. All right, go. You want to close it up?
Yep. Let's close it out, guys. I appreciate
thanks for coming to Larry's podcast today. Glad you liked my
Thanks for blessing
talking.
us, Larry.
You know I can cut that out, Brad.
Thanks for the sun coming up, Larry. The sun came up.
The sun came up. Larry's awake.
You guys fucking kill me.
Don't cut it out.
We're out. Hey,
Love
if
you.
you want to get a hold of us, please contact us at recoveryunfilteredpodcast at gmail.com. That is recoveryunfilteredpodcast at gmail.com. Rob,
We're out.
appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. We're out. Thanks, Brad.
Thank
you,
Doug.
Thanks, Doug.
Thanks, fellas.
Thank you for joining us today.
We hope you learned something today that will help you.
If you did not, come back next week and we'll try again.
If you like what we heard, give us a 5-star review. If you don't like what you heard, kiss my... You can't say that, can you? Anyway, if you don't like what you heard, go ahead and tell us that too. We'll see what we can improve. We probably won't change nothing, but do it anyway.
Hey, thanks, Rob. Come back next week and hopefully something will be different and something will sink in.
This has been Recovery Unfiltered.